Hey y'all, it's y'all favorite cozy girl, Chi the Reality Queen, and I am back again with a brand new episode of Robe Chronicles. Tonight, I'm going to be talking about Summer House Martha's Vineyard, and I am super excited to get started recapping and reviewing this because it's a brand new show series, and we're starting from the beginning, right? I'm really excited because Black people in Martha's Vineyard, I have never been. It's always been a dream of mine to go because I always hear people going in the summertime. And I'm like, oh, I'm going to go. And then I don't. But I really want to go. And they say it's hard to get to Martha's Vineyard. You need to get there by boat, plane, or helicopter or something. I don't know, but it sounds bougie. Um, it is. I haven't seen any of this other summer houses or winter houses, and I know that's probably like I'm starting from behind in understanding of what the show is about. But I did watch this episode, and I'm excited by what I see, and it does make me want to go back and watch the other summer house and winter house. So this series is based on a group of friends. Well, it seems like everybody knows each other. So Jasmine Cooper and her husband Silas, they just got married literally like 2 minutes ago, and that is relevant. But Jasmine is the one that seems to be bringing this group together. And I think that I'm not sure how I feel about her, but I think she wants to be like, I wanted to say the Grand Dame, but she not Karen Huger. She more like Charisse, because yeah. So they're going to stay in Oak Bluff, a section of Martha's Vineyard, which is very Black, apparently was the first city in Martha's Vineyard to like allow Black people to vacation there, which kind of gives it that historical understanding and context of why Martha's Vineyard is the way it is. The intro to the show is very short, very cute. They don't really do too much, but they show little clips from the season in the beginning with a little bit of musical background. Like I said, the main person, it seems, is a girl named Jasmine Cooper. She's a screenwriter. She's married to Silas. They just got married. They're the first people we see. They get into the house, and they're like day 1 of 15. And like I said, I have never seen the other summer houses or winter houses, but if these people are only there for 2 weeks, like how do we get a whole season? It is a 2-week period, or maybe it's more. Like I said, as we watch, I will get the information, I will share, but so far, so good. So the next person who comes is, the next person who comes into the house is Preston. Preston is Silas's, Jasmine's husband's fraternity brother. They're both members of Alpha Phi Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which is kind of cool, right? Like when you see Black people, or as they like to say, not Preston, but when you see Black excellence, we always, sometimes it gets associated with Black Greek life. And so, you know, the two of them being alphas, and I think they're line brothers. I wasn't sure on that, but I think that's what they said. It was pretty cool. And Silas, I believe, he's an Army reservist and he's a financial analyst or something. And Preston, his line brother, is an attorney. The next person that comes in is Bria. Bria is Jasmine's friend. I guess they work together. They worked at the Playboy something. I'm not exactly sure on that. They kept on talking about working together, but I didn't quite understand the location of where they work together. But Bria isn't as close with Jasmine. She has another friend, Shanice, that was like, oh, you should invite Bria to the summer house. Bria shows up with a little dog, a very, very cute dog. However, she didn't tell nobody. And she's like, oh, this is my ESA, emotional support animal. And you know what? That's cool if that's what you need. However, you should tell people, right? It was really weird, but she brought the dog. She got there. Preston's already throwing shade at Bria. He said something about her looking like she took 2 hours to get ready for the pageant, but never quite showed up. And it's funny because I got the reference. Like, I was like, that tracks. Bria has a boyfriend. His name is Simon. He's German. He's basically Jasmine doesn't know who he is, so Jasmine is trying to encourage Bria to like date men there. Like, oh, I invited all these guys. They're single. They're close to your age in their 20s. And, you know, Bria's like, well, I have a boyfriend now and I'm going to go live with him and XYZ. And Bria's pretty upset that Jasmine's trying to like force a relationship on her. But Jasmine is like, Bria's a mess. And I'm like, sometimes you know that about your friend, right? Or you know that about someone, like, girl, you always jumping from man to man. So it don't make no sense for you to pretend like this is a serious situation. But at the same time, when that's your friend, what they say you take. Oh, you think it's serious? Okay, girl, then I'm with you. It's serious and I hope it works. But when it doesn't is when you come and start suggesting other men to her. You don't show yourself to be an unsupportive friend before the fallout happens. You gotta be supportive, and then if it doesn't work, be like, all right, I already have people lined up. So you look even more supportive. But Jasmine, she don't get it. I feel like she just trying to get her friends to be in the same situation that she's in, and that's married. Because based on everybody else that comes, and I will talk about them, none of them are married. The next person that shows up is two men, Nick and Alex. They're both Kappas. Like I mentioned before, Black Greek excellence, you know. They're both members of Kappa Alpha Psi. And they're like, oh, the Alphas are like, oh, it's a little rivalry. There's no rivalry. There's no rivalry. If you're Black and you don't even have to be Greek to know there's no rivalry. They're just two different orgs. That's it. And I hope they don't try to play that up for the cameras, because then people who are watching and aren't Greek might get a different impression of what Black Greek life is. And let me tell you, there's a lot of unity. Alex is vegan. He doesn't drink. He cares a lot about what he puts into his body. As he says, he's intentional. I'm just like, oh, wow. I hope we don't have to hear about him being vegan all season. Oh, gosh, vegans, they're always going to tell you. I'm not saying, like, they were like, oh, take a shot, get a drink and all this. And, you know, I'm glad. I know it sounds crazy. Like, I'm glad that they have somebody like that in the house, because a lot of these shows, it's so focused on drinking and getting drunk and having like a good time that it's kind of nice to see someone who doesn't drink, right? So we're going to get this person in their truest form. There's never going to be a, oops, I said that because I was drunk, or I was wasted, or I was upset because I was wasted, or whatever. We're not going to get this from Alex. So everything that Alex says and does is going to be him. And I'm excited to see that. Nick is his frat brother. He likes fashion. I think they say he's like a stylist or something. He packed a lot of clothes. He's like, I have so much clothes that I'll be able to wear a new thing every day, and then I'll never wear it again, because he don't really wear outfits. And let me tell you, in Martha's Vineyard, you must got the money to live like that, or at least pretend. So yeah, so that's Nick and Alex. Then the next person that comes in, I believe, was Amir. He's a real estate agent. He's half Black, half Lebanese. He never knew his father. And, or as my friend would say, I never knew my father. He never knew his father, so he doesn't really identify or associate with his Blackness. He mentions about how he gets 50 to 100 DMs from women a week. I think he's handsome. I don't know if he's that handsome, but I do think he's handsome. I'm not gonna lie. He is handsome. But is he handsome enough for me to believe that 50 to 100 women are shooting their shot at him on any given day? I'm having a very hard time believing that. I don't know, because most women don't shoot their shot, right? And women that do, I'm not saying they don't exist, but 50 to 100? Like, you can exaggerate, but sir, ridiculous. The next person that comes into the house, I believe, was Jordan. Jordan is Jasmine's friend, her closest. She calls her sister cousin. They're really close. They work together, her and Bria and Jordan all work together. Jordan is like a model. She, I guess, was the first Black playmate, or the last Black playmate. There's something in there about being a playmate. She was photographed, whatever. Super cool, I guess. And the men love her. we see immediately Amir is like, I'm calling dibs on her. Alex and Nick are like, okay, you know, like they don't really, they're like, you can't call dibs this early, blah, blah, blah. There's that conversation. And but he wants to stake his claim early because he wants to, you know, make sure. Then Mariah comes. Mariah's a nurse and a screenwriter. She is Jasmine's friend from college. She's a single mother. We find that out later, but I'm giving it in the intro. She's a single mother of a 7-year-old boy. But the boy is currently with his father and her mother while she's on the show. So I don't know if that's the definition of a single mother, right? Can you be a single mother if you depend on the father for support when you're away? I don't know. I mean, if y'all know, tell me. I really don't know. I'm just asking. But she seems cool. Just a little boring so far. So in the show, again, I don't know if this is how they do on Summer House or Winter House, but they have their like confessionals in the truth booth. So when they go over there, they talk about, you know, the other cast members and whatever's happening. So Jordan talks about how Nick had been sliding in her DMs. And so like you see the emojis and telling her to come over and this and that. And I'm like, I don't know what made Nick believe that she was attracted to him, but it looked a lot like a one-sided, you know, conversation in the DMs. And she said she had to restrict him from messaging her. And do you know how bad you have to be, or how thirsty, or how whatever you have to be to get restricted? Like she was like, I don't even want these messages no more. Like, come on, bruh. And he was trying to be like, oh, if I was trying to pursue Jordan, she would know because I pursue people fully and blah. And you're just like, she already said you was thirsty in the DMs, bruh. Like, you doing a lot here for show, but she already called you out. She already pulled your card. So yeah. Amir talks about how he's never been to Martha's Vineyard. He speaks Arabic, and he was like, I don't know if anybody has ever been like turned on by that. And I'll be honest, Arabic isn't a sexy language, but it is nice when people can speak a second language. Like, it doesn't matter the language. Well, maybe it does. I have to think, like, would it be sexy if it was German? Or is it, you know, I don't know. Arabic doesn't sound bad. It sounded, what he said, it sounded cool. So I think sometimes people aren't impressed by the fact people speak a second language more so than they care about the language that it is, right? What else? Sorry, I took extensive notes because I really wanted to get this first episode out there. And for those of you who are on the edge of watching it or not, I hope I inspire you to want to watch it because I actually really liked it. So they have a dinner and they're talking, and Jasmine's like, oh, I'm so excited to have everybody here in this space of Black excellence, Black excellence, Black excellence. And Preston's like, not too much on the Black excellence because I hate that word or phrase. And it's actually funny because he's right. Like, you know, Black excellence kind of has this like elite feeling when Black excellence should be whatever you deem it to be, right? And he says that people assign Black excellence to be a white supremacist view of what excellence is, or white people's view of excellence, rather than what we want to define it as. And so he doesn't like the term, which I kind of vibed with. I was like, okay, Preston, you over here dropping lessons episode 1 at dinner. I 100% appreciated it. Apparently, there are 2 or 3 more people that will be joining these people in the house. So all these people that I named, that's not even it. There's more people coming the next day. So after dinner, they go to the jacuzzi to play Truth or Dare or Drink, which doesn't make sense because Alex doesn't drink. He would either have to do it, or what would he do? Go do push-ups or something? Because all those men work out. But yeah, so they go and what's it called? Someone dares Amir to kiss the woman that he finds most attractive in the house. And he goes to kiss Jordan, and she's like, doesn't even let him get close. I was like, that's probably a blow to your ego. You get 50 to 100 DMs, and the girl's like, you can't even, no. That's pretty, I'm sure his ego was like a little blown, but maybe not, because who knows. Then they ask Alex the same thing, and Alex kind of approaches it a little sweetly. He kisses Jordan on the cheek, and I think that, I don't know if he, because of the rejection he saw Amir get, he was like, oh, maybe he talked it through, like, again, editing, we don't know how it comes out, but he might have said, oh, let me just kiss you on the cheek or something. I don't know. But he kissed her on the cheek, and she allowed it. So maybe she finds Alex more attractive, doesn't really find Amir as attractive. But when they first met, it seemed like she found Amir to be very attractive, like she was into him. But who knows? Alex can sing, okay, because somebody dared him to sing. I don't know why. Maybe they were trying to introduce the fact that his cousin is John Legend. Like, what? That's a pretty big freaking deal. It's so funny because that's why I'm thinking, because I'm like, why else would you dare somebody to sing? If you knew they could sing, why would you dare them to sing unless you're trying to introduce that fact? He didn't say it in his little truth booth confessional. He was like, oh, I'm so close to the music industry. I have family who is in the music industry and whatever. And then Jasmine goes and drops the bomb that it's, John Legend. Then we, everybody's kind of off. Everybody goes to bed after they get out of jacuzzi. The next day, everybody kind of wakes up and they're doing their own thing. The guys go to work out. Alex goes to do yoga. Some of the women are sitting by the pool in their pajamas. And Mariah comes out and she's like, hey, Jasmine, let's do some writing, because they're both screenwriters. Mariah's also a nurse, but she's also a screenwriter. And I guess they're writing a story about their life, which actually, I would watch that show. So Jasmine lived in New York, and she called Mariah to come stay with her and like move in with her and move to New York to be with her. But what Mariah didn't tell her was she was about to be homeless. She was getting ready to get evicted. And, they were living out of their car and things were just crazy. And so they decided to write a show about it. And I'm sure they're shopping it around to get it out there. But that actually sounds like an interesting show to me, and I would watch that. I do like scripted television. I am the reality TV queen, but I also watch scripted television and love scripted television, so I would watch that. And so it's crazy because the way Jasmine behaves up until this point, I would have never believed that the girl was homeless. Like, you were homeless for a point in time where you were living out of your car. She's like, oh, I love coming to Martha's Vineyard. It is the best place, and da-da-da-da-da. Girl, you were homeless. There's no way you were coming to Martha's Vineyard during those years of homelessness. Like, why are you playing in our face right now? Like, extra, right? But this is leading for good drama, right? They went to go write for the show. They sat in the sunroom, and I guess there was dog hair everywhere, right? So now Mariah's like, okay, well, let's just nip this in the bud, which lets me know that Mariah's about that action, right? But maybe, because I was kind of confused because she called Bria in, but then she wasn't the one to lead the charge. So maybe Jasmine was like, oh, let me talk to her because she's my friend. I can break it down easy to her. So they're talking to her. But all of a sudden, I feel like Jasmine is getting a little like aggressive. Like, girl, why your dog hair making a mess, acting up? And it's kind of a little bit extra for no reason. I forgot who walks in, but basically, Bria's like, I'm not finna sit here and listen to you disrespect me like this. And she walks out. She's like, no. So she takes her dog. She starts walking to each individual group like, do y'all have a problem with my dog? Was there poop everywhere? Is there this? Is there that? And don't get me wrong, this is an emotional support animal. So I think it should be better trained. But people did mention that the dog wasn't barking. It wasn't loud. But she put the dog in the pool. And let me tell you, I don't want to swim in a pool where a dog swims. I'm sorry, I don't, because they shed so much. So that's going to be their hair all through the pool. And then I'm supposed to get into that pool as well. Like, it's not as easy to pull dog hair out of a pool as it is to pull out like leaves or branches or stuff that gets, that falls in, or even bugs, right? You take the little thing and pull all that out, but it's not as easy to get dog hair. Trust me, I have a dog. I do. And that hair gets everywhere. And until I go and lint roll it, and you're not finna lint roll the pool, so that is gonna stay there. I know, like, I used to live in a place where they would allow the dogs to get into the pool on the last day of summer or whatever, right into fall, because they knew they would drain the pool out and clean it out. So I'm like, that's nasty. But I can also kind of see her point where it's like, girl, we're friends. When I walked into this house with this dog, you should have set ground rules about how this dog can move around. But now you're waiting for your friend, or it seems like you waited for your friend to feel emboldened to now come at me about this dog where it's 2 against 1. Even though Mariah didn't say anything, or it didn't seem like she said anything, it looked like a 2-on-1 situation. And so she was running around like, oh, well, Jasmine's saying everybody has a problem with my dog. And that's not quite true, because she didn't say everybody has a problem. She was speaking to herself and Mariah, who were there, and the dog hair was all over the couch. Now, I'm of the belief, girl, you were once homeless. Why are you worried about dog hair on a couch? However, that might not be the thought that someone should have about that situation. Like, it just seemed so randomly bougie. But yeah, so Bria calls her man to tell him everything, and not just about the dog. She's like, she's trying to get me to hook up with these guys, and she doesn't take our relationship serious. And it's like, if that's your friend, you don't tell your man that, because, I mean, you do if it becomes a problem, but you don't tell your man that, because now he's not gonna like your friend. And when you bring this friend around or anything going on, he gonna be like, oh, that's the girl that wants you to this and that. And I just don't believe in that. They showed Jordan in like a little clip, and Jordan was like, I think Jasmine has a problem with Bria. She's like, I think there's a problem in that relationship. And she's like, and I think it's on Jasmine's part. I'm excited for them to delve into that, because the dynamic seems weird. You guys all know each other. You guys all work together. You're friends with her, but you didn't want to include her in this. Someone else had to suggest that you do, meaning that you're really not that close the way you're pretending. So I'm kind of waiting for that to kind of be uncovered and talked about more, because I think it'll be interesting. Then we see Jordan with Alex and Amir, the 2 guys who are crushing on her, and she's talking to them. And she's like, well, because they were asking like, how's her dating and whatever. And she's like, well, I've been celibate for the past year because I've been trying to, meet guys and gauge who's here for me, or people who just want me because I've been a playmate. And yes, girl, that is a good way to look at it, because honestly, there is a lot of people who are going to want to say, I slept with a playmate, right? It's not I slept with Jordan. It's not I like this girl and slept with her. It's I slept with a playmate. That is maybe someone's fetish or goal. Or so for her to have that kind of knowledge and kind of want better for herself is important. But it's funny, because when she was talking about that, you could see Amir's eyes glazing over. He's like, celebrate for a year, girl. I'm done. Alex was like, you see him in the truth booth. He's like, yeah, I love that for her. I'm on her side. He seems like a really sensitive, caring, emotionally in tune gentleman, whereas Amir seems more like a dog, like he just, whatever. So I hope this little thing doesn't last too long, and she just kind of focuses on Alex, if he's her type, if she likes him, because why waste your time with someone like Amir, who you already know is only about or thinking about sex, right? Then Jasmine goes inside to sit at the table to talk to Preston about Bria, but he doesn't realize that she doesn't realize Bria's right behind her on the couch. And she gets in there. Luckily, she doesn't say anything too bad. She actually says something that is, I guess, acceptable. She was kind of like, girl, she was like, oh, Preston, I was so irritated by today. Me and Bria, we really need to talk, like just to kind of talk through it. And Bria's like, I'm right here. I'm on the couch. Like, you could talk to me if you want to. And so I don't know if she was going to talk shit and Bria cut her off, but what she said, I think is normal. I actually think if you have a friend and y'all get into it and you talk brief shit right after getting into it to kind of vent and get an idea from someone else about what you should say to make sure you don't go over any lines or cross any boundaries you can't come back from, I believe in that. I think that's okay. I'm not going to sit here and say, oh, you was talking shit, blah, blah, blah. But I think that if after you're resolved, you're still talking shit, then that's a little bit of a problem because tempers flare. So sometimes you just got to get a couple of things out because you're mad. But after that, you're still talking shit, there's a problem. But yeah, so they have their conversation. Jasmine apologizes. She's like, you know what? Maybe I approached it wrong, whatever. She apologizes. But Bria, who I kind of commend for standing 10 toes and was like, okay, but girl, you keep bothering me about a man in this house and I have a man. And Jasmine was like, okay, I apologize for that too. And so I'm glad that that conversation also happened because I'm not saying Bria gonna stay with that man, and maybe she is a mess, but she should stand 10 toes for the man that she's in a relationship with because she is in a relationship with him. And so, yeah. But I think the men walk in and Jordan walk in and it kind of cuts the conversation short so they don't get to finish. Like Jasmine did apologize, but they didn't really get to finish. And so Bria's like, I feel like the conversation wasn't really genuine. I feel like, you know, we didn't really get to conclude something and come to a mutual understanding. So she feels like the conversation was kind of fake, but Jasmine's like, we're good. Me and Bria, we're good. We talked through it. Everything is perfect. And I'm like, girl, okay. But you know, it's whatever. So then they want to have an all white dinner. Like Black people do. Let me tell you, Black people love to be en blanc. Okay. If you give us an all-white dinner, an all-white party, an all-white lunch, brunch, nightclub, whatever, we are at our peak happiness. Black people love an all-white, a good all-white function. So they decide to have an all-white dinner, and everybody gets there. And Jasmine immediately, as soon as they sit down, is like, so, who's single? Who likes who? Whatever you doing? Blah, blah, blah. And I'm like, girl, you have been married 2 seconds. Why are you stressing these people about getting into a relationship? Like, if you don't want to be married, or like, if you want other people to be in the predicament as you, then go find married friends. I'm not saying you have to drop your single friends, but you should probably find married friends so you have people to hang out with, so you don't have to beg your single friends to get with somebody, so you don't have to be the only married person in the bunch. And it's funny because everybody's kind of irritated. They change the topic and she immediately brings it back. Okay, my dog is getting excited. Oh, he's here. This is my ESA here in this house. He emotionally supports me. Not like that, but just because having him around makes me happy. But yeah, so she immediately brings it back to the conversation about being single and who they like and what they're about. And Jordan is like, girl, I'm not having this conversation. I don't need to have a conversation with a prompt. I just want to have a natural, free-flowing conversation. And however things work out that way, then that's how they work out. And I'm like, thank God. Like, Jasmine, it's episode 1. You're supposed to be the person bringing everybody together. And you getting on my nerves, you know? Oh God, I'm afraid he's gonna try to get me in the mouth. You know how dogs are. They see your mouth open, they try to get right up in there. So yeah, then, you know, the conversation gets shut down, but then all of a sudden here comes Silas. Y'all at the dinner table for the first time, and Silas starts going in on Jordan about how, oh, you always get Jasmine to go out and stay out late. Like when I was in the Army Reserves and I was over at training, she's calling me at 2 a.m. because you have her going out and this and that. Have her going out. Your wife is grown. And if I ask her to come out with me and she says yes, that's a choice. I didn't force her. You know, I'm over here like, oh, Silas, you trying to have your wife under your thumb. You don't want her to do nothing. Sorry, guys. You don't want her to do nothing. You don't want her to go out. You don't, you know, and to me, it's a little bit of a sign of insecurity on Silas's part. And also Jasmine not being very upfront and forward with her man about what she's doing and why she's doing, right? Like, this is a choice I'm making rather than putting it on Jordan. And, you know, she's like, well, she, in her little confession was like, well, that's my man and I'm gonna stick beside him because he's my husband and da da da. And it's like, okay, girl, I'm not saying you can't stick beside your husband, but if your husband is coming for your friend because you weren't honest about why you went out till 2, 3 a.m. with her, why don't, that's your fault. You need to tell him, hey, I went out with her because she asked me and I wanted to go because you weren't here and I maybe felt alone or whatever the heck it is. But yeah, they're all going back and forth. Preston hops in and he tells everybody that he's a queer man who dates men, and he's noticed that men have the tendency to be insecure. And honestly, when Preston speaks, I think people should listen. But I think that, you know, the production is trying to make him seem like he's long-winded and whines on. But I think everything he has said so far, it hasn't been too much, but everything he has said so far has been pretty spot on. Oh, look at him, he loves me. But everything he has said has been pretty spot on, and he has, you know, actually provided actual knowledge and stuff that would, you know, help everybody out. But yeah, so the argument continues, and that's pretty much how episode 1 ends, with them kind of going back and forth. I can be honest, I see a lot of potential in this series. I really, really do. I don't know if they need as many people as they have, because I don't even remember how many people I mentioned, but I think we were at like 12 or so, and there's 15 total. So it's kind of a bit much to kind of remember everybody and all the characters and, you know, what people's relationship with the other is. But, you know, I'm hoping that maybe we finish the season out with all these people and then they whittle it down from there, depending on what drama and action we get from this season. But I am excited overall about Summer House Martha's Vineyard. I love, you know, getting Black people in that post-college, but not quite 21, 22, but more so 25 to 30, maybe 25 to 35 stage. Black professionals, love it, love it, love it, love it. And I'm excited to see what this series brings. I'm excited to see what we get. I hope everybody tunes in. I saw the ratings weren't as great for this first episode. I know I'm part of the problem because I didn't watch it live. But I ask and implore all of you to at least watch the show and give it a chance. And hopefully we get more Black excellence. I'm only using the word as a joke, but yes, hopefully we get more of this, and I'm excited to see what this season brings. So please like, comment, subscribe. Tell me what you thought about the show. If you're planning to watch, if you want to watch, what you want to see from it. I'm just excited to see where this goes. And me and my dog are going to be going to bed. All right. Have a good night, everybody. Oh, he didn't even want me to give my signature peace sign. Look, I'm going to give my signature peace sign. All right. Have a good night. Bye.